Hey, good morning. I'm back. It's Robert Phoenix, and running a little bit late today as kind of recover from last night, which was pretty. Well, it wasn't anything hard to recover from. Hey, what's going on, Michael? Um, it was actually a really good event, and I slept really well, and I'm actually recovering more from this morning uh, because I had my first mask assailant. Uh, try to insult me today for not wearing a mask. I'm no spring chicken, but this guy was an old fuck. I mean, older than me, and he decided that he was going to play the mask heavy. He was doing a drive by with the grocery cart. Put the mask on. Put the mask on. I said, kiss my ass. So it's like the audacity of these people. It's amazing. Sometimes when you stir up the sometimes when you stir the winds, occasionally you will awaken the unintentional forces of opposition. What I mean by that is that just by kind of us putting ourselves out there last night, there's an interesting sort of psychic whiplash that takes place because the system itself doesn't want to be uncovered. It doesn't want to be exposed. The matrix then occupies somebody inside the matrix and takes them over for a moment and then makes them a minion of the matrix. So then they do the matrix's bidding. And this is what happens. This is the archonic system of control that gets kicked in. Sort of like in that scene where Roddy Piper goes berserk and They Live, and there's that woman in the, I think it's the grocer. We've got one who can see, right? So then what happens then is that woman alerts the rest of the archonic system, and those are the the so-called aliens, and then the people doing the bidding of the aliens. When you have an event, sometimes you do things like that. You alert the archonic system. The archonic system wants to survive. It wants to continue to uh, locate itself in people, to feed off people, right? That's its goal. Its goal is to have a parasitic relationship with the host and whoever the host comes in contact with. So I think that's what happened, because it was the first time that anybody's ever got on my case for a mask in the market, and I would attribute it to that. Now, if I didn't have to come back here and do this show, which and also my mom's in town, so I had to make her some coffee, right? Okay, truth be told, I actually waited around in the parking lot to see if this guy would come out. I'm being honest, because we would have had a different conversation in the parking lot. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see who we got this morning. There's my man, door at the door. What's going on, Steve? Good to see you. C.C. Jones, C.C. Ryder. C.C. Ryder starring Joe Namath and Anne Margaret. What a funny movie that was. Wayne Kramer of Wayne Kramer and C.C. Riders was actually in that movie. It's a biker film, and Joe Namath plays the good biker. Christine Bowes, what's going on, Christine? Good to see you. Coach K in the house. There's Lils, Up 7710 Dragon. Danica Rose, Lisa Marie, hello. Lisa Marie's got a birthday coming up. There's Ryan, the introspective woodworker. Michael Pafford, tried to channel my best Snake Plissken. There you go, man. There you go. Get some snake. I think you can go to Chinatown in New York, and I bet you can pick up some snake venom. They got trippy snake stuff in Chinatown in New York. You get some snake medicine in Chinatown, New York. I guarantee you. Sometimes they have like snakes and like alcohol or something like that. and then you get to drink the essence of the snake. So the snake is available to you in Chinatown. Seek it out. Michael, you have a mission. A mission for Michael. David Olmstead. What's going on, David? Good to see you. Wishing you and Mary a Merry Christmas. Susie. What's going on, Susie? Good to see you. Susie the Sea Dragon. Travis Newman in the house. Double V. Victoria V's here. There's the lovely and talented Jonas. Nancy Harding. One of the Harding girls. Ashante Edwards. Good morning, Ashante. Let's see. Benjamin Hunt. What's going on, Benjamin? Good to see you. Good. We gave it our best shot last night. We just gave it our best shot. We sent out the message. Let's see who hears the call. Mary Black. Hope you had a wonderful birthday, Mary. Nice to see you, and hope you and Jeff are having a really good holiday down there together. Ian Barber's here. Nathaniel Graham. What's going on, Nathaniel? The defender of freedom. Nathaniel Graham's got that. He's got that revolutionary name, doesn't he? Nathaniel Graham. That is a revolutionary name, right there. Diana Young's in the house. Miranda Couch, the cosmic couch surfer. Mark Matheny is here to chew bubblegum, kick some ass. How about those Bengals last night, Mark? How about Giovanni Bernard scoring 2 touchdowns last night? Oh my God. How about Giovanni Bernard being on my bench? Shannon Jones in the house. There are the Crimmies, who are, what do you know? I guess you're what, great aunts and uncles to the unnamed baby with the unnamed sex, born under the most auspicious day in modern history, maybe history of all time. Oh, thanks, Christine. This is my holiday sweater. I get to wear this a couple times a year. Let's see. Patrice Hensley is here. There is the mysterious Frank Bry. I'm so used to seeing your shoulders and head. You look so tall and tall. Well, I am not as tall as Owen Benjamin, but I am tall. My license says that I'm 6'3". So I guess it's considered tall by modern standards. Snake venom kills the coroni. Ooh, there we go. Leon Luis, Leon, I promise. Man, I just get so spun up in my fucking day-to-day stuff. I will get to you, I promise. You get my word, brother. That's happening right after. Jan Emily's here. So is Ursula Hauser from the People's Republic of Portland. Let's Go is here. Jacqueline and Donna Incognito. I love that. Very cool. I like that. Let's see. Kevin Stick Evers. NYC is dead. Well, it's not the only place that's dead. Let's see. What do we have here? Are Leo King and Moore related? I know, right? There is you're not the only person that said that. So many people have said that Emily and David have a very similar central nervous system. What's going on, Tondar? Good to see you. Jennifer Fitzgerald, Double B, Beth Berry, Renee. What's happening, Renee? There's Vanessa. Let's see. What did I get for Christmas? I got a sweater. What I really wanted was a screamer or a moaner. Oh my God. I love that. Did you guys see this story? It was from Russia, and this guy apparently broke into this beauty salon. He was going to steal some shit, but apparently the woman, the woman of the beauty salon who owned this place, apparently also was very good at karate or whatever martial art. So she subdues this guy, all right, and then she chains him. She chains him to, I don't know, one of her beauty stations or something. I don't know what she chained him to. And then for 3 days, I don't know how this shit happens, man. For 3 days, she force feeds him Viagra and turns him into her sex slave for 3 days. True story. True story. Now, how do you force feed a guy Viagra? You just you just pummel him and then pop open his mouth and shove a few blue pills down there and make him swallow with water, and then watch the shrubbery grow. Is that how you do it? And then for 3 days, 3 days, all he got was blue pills and water, and all she got was uh, criminal dick. That's what she got. She got criminal dick for 3 days. Very strange. It is the weirdest story. I swear to God, it's a true story. I mean, as true as it gets these days. Laurel Jubin's here. Gochi to Goots in the house. Suppository. I've never seen a virus suppository. It's possible though, Steve. It's very possible. Could also probably inject Viagra. There is a Viagra gel. There is a gel. So, Steve, maybe you're right. Maybe she just spread those cheeks and, gelled them up. She got criminal dick. That's what she got, criminal dick. For some women, that's very, since talking, that's a real turn on. Criminal dick is a real turn on. It's all these women who line up to marry men in prison, which I always thought was an incredibly bizarre phenomenon. Like when Richard Ramirez, the vampiric hillside slasher, was on trial and ultimately went to prison, he got more women hitting on him than if he'd been some guy just showing up at the local bar. Well, for him, be the local blood bank, because it's pretty clear he was a vampire. And then there was that guy. I forget his name now because he's such a unforgettable character. The guy from the Paradise Lost Boys. Damien, what's his name? Paradise Lost. Damien Lost. Yeah, the child murders at Robin Hood Hills. Isn't that a weird name? Robin Hood Hills. Was this the East Memphis 3? That's who it was. Yeah, produced by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky. And one of the three that were ultimately found guilty and then released was Damien Eccles. Now, Damien Eccles, I'll show you a picture of him. So here's Damien Eccles with the two filmmakers. And is he outside of jail or is he in jail? I think he's in jail here. But there was a huge Hollywood movement to free these three murderers up. And people like, he's a film producer now. How about that? He's a film producer now. And people like Johnny Depp and Dave Grohl and Hollywood just, came to this guy's rescue. And then he and Johnny Depp had this weird twinning thing going on. Very bizarre. I'll show you a picture of the two of them together. So there's Damien Eccles, Johnny Depp, and Damien Eccles is he's an occultist, and he reads tarot and plays with sigils and all kinds of esoteric and occult tools and technologies. There you go. I think he was doing what was he doing? Like those what are those self-help courses in New York City? Those weekend seminar shit. Here he is promoting his book, High Magic. So Damien Nichols hooks up with her, Lori Davis. What do they have, a kid now or what? Who's this? Anyway, Lori Davis was somebody who filed the case, wrote to him in prison, and they got married in prison. She's been his angel. She's been his angel. And there was something really interesting about Lori Eccles. Like when you first kind of see pictures of her, I think she was a lawyer too. She's kind of chubby and she seems quite awkward. But then after hanging out with Damien Eccles, she's turned into a little bit of a different person. She's got a swagger and vitality that she did not have at a certain point in time. If somebody's calling me, I will call you back. I will call you back. So here she is in her sort of fawning, I'm in love with my criminal dick. You know, that's the fawning Lori phase. That's the fawning Lori phase. And then here she is sort of in the same, you know, devotional fawning Lori phase. And now she's in the very transformational, different kind of Lori phase. Looks like both Damien and Lori have gone through a few changes together. There they are. There they are. Anyway, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. Women for men in prison. It's, you know, it's the bad boy archetype. It's the ultimate bad boy archetype. Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I get it. I don't get it. I can't say that I get it. I can't say that I get it. Let's do this. There we go. Dave Grohl is very talented, but the one guy in that band who really stands out, literally and figuratively, is Chris Novoselic. He was the one that stood out. The guy was what, about 6'9" or something, 6'8". And politically, he's the only one remaining that has, well, let's say, more conservative, less programmed, liberal POV. What's the thinking from the woman's perspective? My love can control. So I think, okay, with the at the expense of maybe sounding pejorative, I think what it is, I think it's an extreme version of the maternal tendency. That's what I think. I think it's an extreme version of the maternal tendency. It's like take your vitamins times 100. That's what I think. I think I'm being pretty compassionate here. That women have a maternal tendency, and they want to, you know, there is something with women and children and, you know, the family and sort of herding kids and making sure that they have their raincoats on and all that stuff, right? Which is important. I mean, these are survival traits that are hardwired into us. I think it's an extreme version of the survival trait, but it's also archetypal, you know. I think some of it has to do with the Persephone myth and going to the underworld. And it'd be interesting to look at the charts of women who have an attraction towards incarcerated men, because they represent Hades, you know. I mean, prison is hell, right? So they're engaged with a citizen of Hades, or an incarnation of Hades itself. So it's a very Persephonic kind of, I think, relationship. No joke, I had a client who was married to somebody in prison, met one time, plexiglass window between them, got married, and has remained married and faithful ever since. And I think that's been almost 20 years, which, again, kind of blows my mind. And well, I wasn't judging this person. When you do my work, it pays not to be judgmental. In some ways, I can offer my take on things, but it's like, that's her path. She chose to do it. But I think it's really Persephonic. Persephone goes to the underworld and is bound there for 6 months out of the year. It's also very much like Eurydice in the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice, is taken into the underworld and chained to Pluto, chained to Hades. Hephaestus, another archetypal and mythical figure of the underworld, plays a role, but Hephaestus is generally not incarcerated, or Hephaestus doesn't rule, or Hephaestus is the wounded smith or the wounded forge, the vulcanizer. You can find Hephaestus in the garage. You don't have to go to prison to find him. Well, she does get to be the queen of the underworld. Well, maybe that's what Lori Davis is. Maybe she's wearing her crown right now. Oh, Cece says, I worked as prison nurse for a while. Interesting. Yes, Persephone. Well, she did a deal. There was a deal. She has to go back, because if she doesn't go back, it upsets the cycles of the seasons. That's what happened. Ceres, I believe, made the deal with Hades. They carved that deal out. Let's see. Is there a song about this? Strange Love? I think so, probably. That's a Soft Cell song, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, that's Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode. Let's see. Oh, is it Ashanti's birthday? Is it Ashanti's birthday? It's about dominance and control. Dominance and control are kind of an extreme version of nurturing, I think. Let's see. I'm trying to go back and see if it's Ashanti's birthday. Is she 22? Hi, Ralph Winter. Let's see. What did my client look like? What did the woman look like? Couldn't really tell. He didn't look so great. Just saying. I mean, he looked the part. He looked the part of kind of a prudish Russian criminal. He looked the part. Proof: women are as equally effed up as men. That's funny. Hi, Ricky Ricardo. Mary Grether's here. Let's see. Who else do we have? Pam Jerome. Hi, Pam. The Santa Clarita. I was actually thinking that, Diana. Like, I think Lori Davis has had some interesting elements introduced to her life. That's what I would say. Men adore dragging women as much as they say they hate them. This is true. This is true. Absolutely. Okay, she's January 18th. Okay, so we got a Capricorn in the house. We'll circle back on the 18th and wish you a happy solar return. Persephone ate 7 pomegranate seeds, and Zeus ruled that she had to spend half the year with Pluto. See, there was a deal that was brokered. Zeus is the prison warden, right? He's the prison warden. So down you go. Down you go. And up you come. I had an incident like the one Robert had this, and back in August. And yes, my husband, very loud words, said, "Old fuck." Oh, this is my mask thing. It's really interesting. Like, nobody's messed with me since this whole thing. He was the first guy that messed with me. And it's right on the heels of awakening the dormant forces of the archonic matrix and their little peons. I thought we'd like to imprison our men before we marry them. Oh my God, Swami Mommy. That is sacrilegious. Hi, John G. Good morning. Cheeky Monkey. Hello, Amy. Strange Love, Master and Servants. I videotaped it just in case I needed it. It was epic. Oh, can I play it sometime? You know, I had it. So I was thinking, I was, I watched him a little bit, and he left his cart in a certain place, and he went around to go get some vegetables. So I thought maybe I should just put some random shit in his cart, so that when he gets up to the checkout stand, like he's buying some like random shit that he didn't really. I could have done it. I could have done it. I thought about it. That was my Gemini moment kicking in right there. That was my trickster moment. I decided to go South Node on him. Yeah. A Doug. Is that what we're calling him now? Doug? Doug is an interesting name. It's one of those names that's fading away. You don't meet many Dougs. Yeah. Like Warming KY. No, I was in the vegetable section. So my choices would have been quite limited to what I could just randomly toss into his cart. Though there was a wide assortment of like that stuff that you pour on your beer, the chelada stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about? That people like to put that stuff on the rim of their beer. There was that. I could have thrown in a bunch of that, like 2 or 3 bottles of that. Maybe one of the exotic fruits that might have been somewhere nearby. I could have done that. I did think about it. He was an icky, super flabby old dude. I'm old. This guy was old. Look, I'm no spring chicken. This guy's old. He's older than me. Right? He's older than me. Somewhere in his head, right? Somewhere in his head, he's probably thinking, I can take that guy. I can take him. I don't think so. I mean, look, I'm not some street fighter or street warrior, but I if I had to, I could probably defend myself. And especially when I'm angry. If I go into angry mode, I'm like kind of hard to handle. But I got to get really, really angry. And then I'd have to probably have some kind of adrenaline override on my lower back so I could be effective for 2 to 3 minutes. But I don't think I would have needed it with him. Somebody else, maybe. No, not that guy. Anyway, let's do a little prayer here, and I'll get into kind of a follow-up from last night. I guess I kind of did. But and then there's some interesting things happening. I want to look at the spending bill, the stimulus package. Okay, here we go. Dear blessed holy Mother Father, dear blessed holy Mother Father God of the great central sun, which is the universal light, the light of Yeshua, Sananda Emmanuel, we ask that only the highest Beth, truth, wisdom, intelligence, and information come through this channel at this time. And we affirm and decree that we are blessed and graced with the qualities of courage, fortitude, flexibility, determination, commitment, loyalty, empathy, compassion, love, humor. What else am I leaving out here today? How about endurance? How about a little endurance? And how about a little higher mind? Let's bring in some higher mind today and some cosmic perspective. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from this stream. Let's do it. Looks like we weren't the only group mobilizing yesterday. Let me show you some footage from the state capital of Oregon, known as Salem. Interesting name. Let me show you what people were doing up there yesterday. They decided that they're going to create their own autonomous zone, but this is a very different kind of autonomous zone. Check it out. By the way, they've already been gassed. They'd gone in. So what happened is that the Oregon State Assembly had a session, and they locked the doors and closed them out. And when you have a session, people are theoretically allowed and supposed to bear witness and testify so that they can testify about a bill that is being talked about and can be passed. That is how this thing works. So they set up a session and decided to close the doors, kind of like what happened yesterday here in town. And then they actually were able to get inside. And then the state police kicked them out and started using tear gas. So you'll see some of the vapor in the air. You'll hear some people coughing as a result. So this is the backstory, and here's how it unfolds.
They just got nuts. Beating the shit out of people. I don't know what that blue smoke is. It's in the air that they just gassed us with. I'm just covering the back.
We the people!
This has been declared an unlawful assembly. Did you hear that?
This is the First Amendment. Freedom of speech. The right to assemble. The right.
What is this? What is this woman doing? What is she doing? Let's check her out.
The right.
Okay, I know what she's doing. She's thinking, which one of these guys is most likely to go to prison? That's what she's doing. She's taking notes. No, I'm going to tell you right now, I think this woman is an intelligence operative. That's exactly what she is. She's alone. She's not dressed in any of this garb. She's observing. I think she's intel.
To assemble. The right. Not as an unlawful order.
You need to leave now, come out to Court Street. This has been declared an unlawful assembly. Leave and come out to Court Street. Attention, this is the Oregon State Police. This is the unlawful assembly. Sit next to us on the
This is peaceful, jackass. Here they go. This is their Occupy zone.
Welcome in, everybody. The Patriot Occupy Zone.
Here we go. Look at these people they're making a statement, okay? I mean, you're going to have to, there's a lot of trust involved here. There's a lot of trust involved here that these guys are on your team, okay? But they're definitely making a statement. And if you're the Oregon State Police, you got a bit of an issue on your hand. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you.
I love the brothers. Here come the brothers. Like, well, we're getting in. We're in. We're all in. I love it. Here we go. He says, "Let me help. Let me help." There they go. This is going to be their
I just
occupy
want to give you guys a
zone.
quick update what's going on out here. So basically, people try to attempt to enter the Capitol, which is their Oregon State constitutional right. They cannot have closed meetings here. As a lot of you guys probably saw the video, it got a little bit hectic. A few people got assaulted. Everyone's kind of fine. Basically, a lot of patriots are coming in here right now. And from what I understand and from what I can hear from just talking to people, they're going to probably occupy this Capitol. I don't think these people are going to go anywhere. So if you guys want to come out here, participate, maybe bring some equipment, food, water, or whatever. I do know that there's a chef coming down here. He's going to cook a bunch of stuff. But this is just happening right now. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And that hopefully this will spark something, not just here, but in capitals across the country. Because if we don't take this back, man, we're done. We're done. So we're just trying our hardest to be aggressive in a peaceful way. God bless you guys.
Put on some music.
He wants to put on some music. Oh, wants them to put on. Now they come out. Here come the LRADs. Okay, with their LRAD heavy duty equipment, bought from their largesse that came through the whole 9/11 fiasco, which allowed local police to militarize themselves. This is our Tiananmen Square moment, people. This is our Tiananmen Square moment. And they're going to try to LRAD. They're going to try to, this is, in as much as downtown Portland is flaky and Antifan, the rural areas of Oregon are filled with really tough people. I mean, these people have fished, they've hunted, they've chopped wood, and it's a big lumber area. So these people are really the true salt of the earth, and they do not represent the People's Republic of Portland. So this is going to be interesting and really worth following. And if it was, I'm sorry to say this, but if it was Black Lives Matter, I'm not sorry to say it, but I kind of am because of the juxtaposition. But if this was Black Lives Matter or Antifa, those cops wouldn't do shit because the governor of Oregon would not have sent them out there. Wouldn't have sent them out there. Or the mayor of Salem wouldn't have sent them out there. But because they're not, now they're going to be sent out there. So here we go. We are in our Tiananmen Square moment. I'll put a link up. You guys, I'll put a link into the chat here. And I'll try to remind myself to put it into the show page. There we go. There it is. Let's see. I think the elites are gone, and they just left behind as many saboteurs as possible. It could be. I think that there's a lot of management still to take place on the back end of this stuff. Now they need to start the Thriller dance moves. He was telling those guys to play some music. That was funny. I wonder what kind of stereo systems the LRADs have. They tear gas and actually peaceful protest, but not the violent ones. It's part of the formula to make us outraged because rage makes us weak. Well, there is a rush to rage, right? There is a rage rush, but when the rage rush subsides, you have all your adrenaline. It's spent. So you need to save those moments. Like rage is really good for the berserker moment. If you have to have a berserker moment, rage is your friend. Let me tell you, rage is the neuropeptide that you need in that kind of a moment. But I would say by and large, Kurt, you're right, because unless it is channeled and sustained, there's a big come down once that rage is expelled. So, hey, there's Emily. We're heading home in a few hours. So I guess when Emily says we're heading home in a few hours, what constellation is that, Emily? What star system is that? Are you finally beaming up? Fuck you. I won't do what you told me. I'm not sure what it listed. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm just saying there's a moment when there's rage and it's good, and there's a moment where you have rage. Like I watched Alex Jones this last weekend, right? And he was like raging, but it didn't really do anything. He really didn't do anything in that moment. So if you're gonna rage, you pick your moments, man. And then you cut it loose. That doesn't mean that you can't be energized or you can't be focused and you can't like channel aggression, which is really sort of that's the big thing, right? If you can deal with your anger and deal with your rage and channel it in a functional way, in a focused way, then you've got a long-term kind of stream you can tap into. But most people just don't have the ability to deal with anger. I mean, even today, when that guy was, get on my case for mask, I was starting to get hot, and I was really, trying to work through how I was going to respond to that dude. So I think there's a place for rage. I really do. I think there's a time for it. And there's a time for being able to channel your anger in a sustained way so that it doesn't necessarily overcome you, but you make it an ally. I saw this Dr. Phil episode one time, and there was this woman on there who was angry all the time. She was just pissed off all the time. Of course, Dr. Phil was trying to get to the reason why she was pissed off all the time. And I'll tell you why she's pissed off all the time. Because when you're angry, guess what happens? Your senses get really clear and things are very acute, right? You get to see things clearly. Your fight flight is on. You can make decisions quickly. When you're not angry, everything's cool. Everything's mellow. Your reaction time is a little bit slower because you have to move into a state of alarm. Right. So when that happens, there is an adrenalized thing that people get hooked on with anger because it gives them a bit of a high. And I totally understand it. I totally understand it because it makes you feel more alive in a lot of ways. And the other thing with anger is that it creates separation. When you're really angry, it's pretty much you. When you're not angry, there's less separation. And so everything is cool and you want to talk things out and let's find a way to work it out. You know what I mean? So I'm not telling anybody to not get angry or feel rage. Trust me. That's not, because I have plenty of anger, plenty. And I do my best to kind of direct it. I hope that's fairly clear. Let's see. I made contact with my fleet on Sunday night. Oh yeah, Emily went out to Joshua Tree. I'd love to hear about that. Zach Della Roca just vote for that whole Rage Against the Machine thing. I was never into them. I listened to them. First of all, I don't like that guy's voice. I don't like his voice. And I listened to them, and it was like, they kind of come out of the battle in Seattle, the WTO. Remember that, the World Trade Organization? Now that was actually kind of interesting when people were on the streets, basically fighting against the World Trade Organization, which I thought was kind of interesting. They kind of come out of that movement, but you listen to Rage Against the Machine, they're commies. They're hardcore commies. Rage at seeing the old world Tartarian buildings that have been burnt or destroyed, channeled into research and discovery. Well, I think that's probably a good thing. Andy says, when you're really, really angry, you're on the knife edge and not knowing when to act and when to hold back. Look, anger can be very clarifying. It can be very, very clarifying. And a lot of times people they will not move or act unless they are angry. So what you saw in Portland was a response to the complete and utter tyranny that is being enacted by the state of Oregon. By the way, the whole West Coast is set up to go to China. If you don't know that by now, you should probably figure that out. The West Coast is set to go to China. That's why you have all the fires. That's why they're trying to shut everything down. That's why they want people to move out, right? This is what's happening. They're setting the West Coast up to be an extension of China. And what those people are fighting against isn't just Governor Brown or the mayor of Salem. They're really fighting against the CCP in Salem. That's what's going on. Let's see. Not if I can help it. You're gonna hold down that southern area. And righteous anger is a good thing. So we've had this discussion before about anger, and it's one of those things that if you want to be functional, really, really functional in this world, you have to be able to master anger. You have to be able to master it. That doesn't mean you suppress it. You have to be able to master it. Because lurking inside each and every one of us is who knows how many years of primal intensity that has been so-called civilized. So when the anger thing hits, many people who have not cultivated a relationship with anger will basically go Cro-Mag, and they'll go get a club and they'll go fucking kill somebody. They'll hit them over the head. I mean, this is lurking. It is lurking inside of us. And the only reason it's lurking inside of us is not because we're bad. It's because it's one of the sort of dark areas of our DNA that we haven't exhumed and then brought into the light and then really observed and dealt with. And once you're able to deal with that and face it, then it becomes an ally and not something you're afraid of. A lot of these elites, so-called elites, when they go through their trauma programming, one of the things that they do is they basically kill the response to anger, right? They kill the response to anger through the programming, through the rituals. They kill the response to anger. And they do it by crossing all these different neurons in the brain by doing really heinous shit to young kids where they can't understand or process what they're seeing. And they do it over and over and over again to the point where they become dead inside. So anger, which is probably still there, is buried about 5,000 feet deep inside of them. To be angry at the people and the situation. Every now and then you'll see one try to break their programming, and that's the rage, the buried rage trying to crack through and come out the other side, right? But that's what happens. And when they get into something like the cremation of care, that's exactly what they're doing. They're exterminating the conscious, the conscience. They're exterminating the conscience, and the conscience has a response to everything, including anger. Because when people kick into anger and they have not dealt with their anger, their conscience kicks in and says, "Hey, wait a minute, you might kill somebody. You better stop." And it's probably not, in some cases, not a bad thing. Because in some cases, some people will kill somebody if they haven't dealt with their anger. So they eliminate the conscience through the cremation of care. So anger goes out the door, and they're able to do anything. And every now and then you see someone like Britney Spears who shaves her head and tries to, break out of the conditioning, right? That's what happens. You can only hold that stuff down for so long, theoretically. So most people just have no clue how to deal with their anger. But it's not. It can be an ally. It's a total ally. The extreme form of anger is rage, and I'm telling you right now, in a berserker moment, rage is your friend. It is your friend. You will need, and in a berserker moment, you will need rage. But it's only something you can count on for a brief period of time. And you know what's underneath rage is grief. It is grief. Once you get to serious rage and you explode serious rage, you will encounter grief. And the only reason I know this is because it's happened to me. I've had serious rage moments, and then on the backside, after it was expelled, broke down sobbing. And it's usually the part of us that has been denied or locked up, in those rage moments release that part, or they release the edifice, so that we can get in touch with the real sobbing and I think if we look at this from a collective perspective, right, that there are a lot of really angry people in America right now. There are a lot of angry people in the world right now, and I don't think you've seen anything yet. I think the moments of anger and rage are, I'm not sure we're close to the tipping point. We will be. We will definitely be close to the tipping point. But what's really underneath all that is a sense of grief for a way of life that has been taken or stolen, our own complicity in that and allowing it to happen, all the things that have contributed to that complicity, intentional or unintentional. There's a lot of that. Everybody's got it, and we have it at a collective level. And if you really want to get to, they always talk about healing. Oh, now it's time to heal, which is all fucking lip service. But if you really wanted to get to this idea of healing, then everybody would have to move through their rage in pretty much simultaneously. And then they would have to get to grief simultaneously. And once they would get to grief, then there would be no separation. Rage is a complete separation. It is the isolation of you and the moment and the peak of anger. But then once you get through that and you go into grief, then there's no separation. And if you had an entire nation of people really grieving, and that's when the grievances go away. The grievances are dispelled when you grieve. Right? There's forgiveness. There's forgiveness in grief. And it's not a position of weakness, by the way. If you want to know what would bring us together, it would be a collective moment of grief, so that everybody, left, right, center, whatever, could have that moment and look each other in the eye and just say, we fucked up. We fucked up. You fucked up. I fucked up. People before us fucked up. Let's clear the slate. Right. That would be how we would get there. But in order to get there, you're going to have to break through the collective rage. Yep. Yep. I think the Antifa BLM rage was orchestrated. Miranda, you bring up a really good point. I mean, there were people who were primed, right? They were primed through the university system. They were trained social Marxist theory. They were trained for that. So they were coming to these events from an ideological perspective. So they were there on the basis of an idea. And the idea is the thing that triggered their emotional buy-in, right? But that only lasts for so long because ideas are like glass and they can be shattered. And once those ideas, or once you get hit, really hit, unless you have heart, unless you have real commitment and real fire, you're done. You're done. Those ideas that somehow theoretically inspire you, which I believe there's a group of those people who were kind of called to a lot of those protests because of that. Not the only group. If you go inside Antifa and you go inside BLM, these people are paid. They are paid, and they've been paid, and they've been working at this for a long time. These are ideological subversives, and the ideological subversives are they're hired guns, and they're hired guns to bring in change. So are they angry? Do they have an anger that fuels their ideological subversion? Yeah, probably. But what they've done is they've attached themselves to an apparatus that supports their ideological subversion, fuels it, rewards them. It's a drip line. So, but they're hired guns. And, once things got really too hot, as the election got closer and closer, you noticed that all the riots and all the protests started to subside. You also noticed that any kind of, racial or racist event supposedly perpetrated by the local police upon an individual, those stopped as well. Okay, just keep that in mind. It's not because these things stopped happening. Well, they happen, right? They happen. They happen because people will get out of control. They will happen because sometimes some guy who's a cop decides to take something too far and decides to make an example out of somebody and crack somebody's head, right? So these things haven't really gone away. But when they are there, they are enacted and they are activated and initiated to create a larger reaction in the social theater. So, of course, we haven't seen a lot of that lately, have we? No, there's a reason why. Total reason why. And a lot of the protesters were hired guns. They're paid. They're like Hessians. They're hired guns. So they in that regard, people that are in the inner circles of Antifa and BLM, their rage has been cultivated. Their rage has been turned into an ideology, and they practice ideological subversion, and they're rewarded for it. They're totally rewarded for it. They're paid for it. They're given respect inside their community. They're given kudos. That's where some type of rage has been channeled and ideologically rewarded. But the rest are just a bunch of fish. They're fish in a net, and they're just out there because of they got to work out their college loans and their social Marxist education. And they're just driven by an idea. But once you hit them, their idea is shattered and they're nobody. Let's see. Abby Martin. Apparently she knows what they're doing. I guess Joe Rogan won't have her on anymore. I think that's the case. I think Joe Rogan has banned Abby Martin from his show, from what I understand. Let's see. Women who feel inferior or tolerate anything, it is very sad. I think it's not just women, Rebecca. I think men will fall into that category too. You know what I mean? Anger is better than apathy. I would agree. I would agree. I think anger is actually like, lurking beneath apathy. That apathy is a coping mechanism. Apathy is a coping mechanism. That's what it is. It's just a coping mechanism. That apathy is where you realize that, theoretically there's nothing you can do. Right. It's a coping mechanism, and not a very productive one, by the way. Obama is when they started bringing in the Western cultural revolution. This is true. Absolutely. In fact, there was kind of a watershed event in the Obama administration when that professor was trying to break into his house. The Harvard professor, was it Goolsbee? Was that his name? I forget the guy's name. Anyway, he was trying to break into his house and around Harvard, I think. And somebody called the cops, and then the campus police showed up, and they made a big fucking deal about it. Really big deal. That was like one of the first events where, like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh boy, here's what we got going now. Here's what we have. We're going to have to defend. We're going to have to defend this piece of turf. And look, these things happen. Okay, these things happen. I have so-called Black African American friends who've been pulled over and they've been profiled. These things happen. This is not something that is. It's not a fiction. It happens. But what in that moment, what they did is they used this event, which could have been a non-event. Didn't have to be a major headline-grabbing event, but they made it into a major headline-grabbing event, and that's when it all sort of took off. And one of the things, and again, I'll say this: Obama, whenever there was, the beginning of this hardcore cleaving of the relationship and the connection between various groups of people, particularly in this instance, so-called Black Americans with so-called white America or the institution, and there was a distributed outrage. Obama never said that we needed to come together. He never said that. What he did is he enabled this idea that they were expressing their right to protest, which continued to be part of the narrative post George Floyd. But he never said that. He never said, hey, look, we're one nation, we're one group, we're one family, and there's a lot of injustice in this world, and together we're going to make a difference with it. And I am here as a representative of, a particular community who has some understanding and inkling of this, and together we will work towards a better and more just world. And as a result of that, I will not tolerate any kind of extreme action. I'll not tolerate any kind of eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. We have a constitution, not Hammurabi's law. So, but he didn't do that. And instead what he did is he enabled it. And that's when Black Lives Matter was born. It was born through the Obama administration. And they used to go to the White House. D. Ray McKesson was on the White House guest list numerous times. Bill Ayers went to the White House numerous times. The ideological subversion was in full force. When Obama occupied the White House, it was really the denouement of what happened in the 1960s, right? Where Bill Ayers and the Weather Underground were blowing up public institutions. Now they were occupying the White House. And when Obama was elected, it was a sign that they had won, that they ultimately had won the Cultural Revolution. And that's what happened. It's exactly what happened. And Hillary was supposed to continue her part in the Cultural Revolution. Remember, Hillary Clinton studied at the elbow of Saul Alinsky. She was one of Saul Alinsky's star pupils. She wrote him personally. She did her thesis, her master's thesis on Saul Alinsky. So Hillary Clinton comes out of Chicago. She comes out of that Alinsky rules for radical ideological training. So does Obama. Alinsky wasn't around, but the people who were carrying on Alinsky's tactics, known as ACORN is an Alinsky-inspired group, right? They were, political activism. So that's where Obama really cut his teeth. And that's where this all comes out of. And of course, Bill Ayers comes out of Chicago, and Hillary comes out. And Hillary was supposed to continue the march of the Cultural Revolution. The difference between Hillary and Obama is that Hillary and Bill are Neiman Marxists. Don't think that Obama doesn't like nice things either, because clearly he does, especially the house they're living in. But they're a little bit different. They're Neiman Marxists. But she was still supposed to continue that path, and then of course we have Donald Trump, who sort of jumps the queue. Oh, and we have 4 years of insurgents. And I think that Trump was not supposed to win the election. I don't think he was supposed to win the election. I think that there was intervention. And I'm not sure if it was the Russians or the Israelis or the White Hats, but something happened with the vote. And then there was a deal that was cut at about 3 a.m. And the deal was that Trump was not going to go after Hillary Clinton. I think that was the deal. Like, okay, you're going to win. We've got these votes, and we can't decertify them, because here's what's really interesting. If the left had really, really gone into the voting mechanisms during the 2016 election, all the Dominion stuff would have been found out. Like, we would have known prior to 2020 how Dominion works, because it was there. They've had this stuff since what's his name? Chavez created it with Smartmatic. It's just another brand of Smartmatic. So they could have challenged Trump, but in order to do so, they probably would have gone into those machines, and they probably didn't want to do that. So now they had to make a deal. I think they had their machines used against them. So now Trump gets in, and then the first thing they do, of course, is they start the insurgency. They start the Purple Revolution, which is where we are now. And what you saw in Salem, Oregon, is our Tiananmen Square. And whatever happens, if Joe Biden is president, he will not be accepted as president. It's pretty clear he will not be accepted as president. 70 million people, I believe 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. I think probably around 15, maybe 20 million people voted for Joe Biden. That's 70 million disaffected people. No matter what Fish O'Connell or any of these other rhinos have to say, there will be no real peaceful transition. People will be pissed off. They'll remember what's happened over the last 4 years, and you can say, well, that's what the global overlords, want. But it's going to be a natural response. It will be a natural response. And remember, we are in 3 revolutionary cycles right now. 3 revolutionary cycles, with Pluto in Capricorn approaching the 26th degree, which is where it was at the time of the Declaration of Independence, right? Theoretical June 4, 1776. Pluto was at 26 Capricorn. We will be there in January. Pluto will arrive at 26 Capricorn in January. That's where it was when there was a Declaration of Independence, which kicked off the American Revolution, right? If I'm not mistaken, Saturn was in Aquarius when Tiananmen Square happened. Pretty sure it was. I have to go back and look. I remember Bush was president. And it was a time where the United States could have come to the aid of the people of China. We really could have come to the aid of the people of China. We didn't. That was prime. They were asking for help. That was them reaching out and saying, we want democracy. We are tired. We are tired of the heavy hand of the CCP. But unfortunately, the Waltons and the other Targets and all these other global corporations decided that they wanted to not have China be liberated and democratic, where people could actually make a really good wage. That would ruin their business model. So therefore, there was no action that was going to be taking place. And in a lot of ways, people were already satisfied by the fall of the wall and what happened with the Soviet Union. It was like, okay, we got that. They gave people that. Well, the people in China. What about us? What about us? We want some of that. And of course, we didn't do shit because we had Bush as president. And I'm not sure many presidents would have done anything. By the way, I'm not sure that would have been the case. But we are at our Tiananmen Square moment. It's pretty clear. It is pretty clear. And I don't think 70 million people are going to accept Joe Biden. They're just not. And what we've seen over the last 30 days has been revelatory. No matter where you weigh in on the election or the candidates or their ideologies, no matter where you weigh in, what we've seen has been revelatory, not just with the election, but how people react, right? How these state electors react and what's going on in Georgia with Brian Kemp and these two senators. I mean, the whole thing is just, you have Mitch McConnell, I heard him on the radio yesterday. He's, oh, I want to wish everybody, man, I got to practice my McConnell. Yeah, I want to wish everybody, I'll get him. He was basically saying, everybody get a vaccine. Oh, we need to have the vaccine. Well, no, he's got that kind of clipped, nasally Southern thing. He's basically saying, hey, we got to get 150 million people. We got to get at least 150 million people vaccinated, and quickly. They're all pushing the fucking vaccine. And now O'Connell is sort of like the news go-to. It's not Trump. It's McConnell. I was going to call him McConnell. He's the news go-to now. It's all President-elect Biden. So the media has already moved on. They've made their choices, right? But this thing is not done. And on some level, it is. Like on some level, it's totally cooked and baked. On another level, it's not done. And I want to show you a video by Bill Still. I actually like Bill Still. I don't know if he's really got his finger on the pulse, but I've always found his videos to be well thought out, pretty well researched, without a lot of hyperbole. So let me play you a Bill Still video, and he has some insight as to what he thinks is going to happen. Let me play this for you.
A younger fast, go to www.healthwithbill.com.
Good evening. I'm still.
Look at that. He just looks younger. He looks younger. Go to that, man. He just dropped a couple of centuries. Here we go.
Reporting on the coup. This just in, President Trump is about to finally take the offensive if a recent post by Anonymous on 4chan turns out to be reliable. It was posted just before midnight last night. Don't know the time zone? It goes like this. Before the 23rd, you'll know that Trump will be finishing out his second term. The phone call came through. He does have access to military intelligence on a great deal of blank by top Democrats. But regrettably, a lot of Republicans he needs are involved as well. Trump can upset the House of Cards, but a vast number of people would have to go down for it to happen, and it would dramatically destabilize the government. Trump has a team at the Pentagon and increasingly at NSA and lower levels of the FBI. Upper levels of all agencies are almost all Team Obama and Team Clinton. The fraud will be presented in the most undeniable way. Everyone will know, and it will be done in such a way that we cannot move forward. Sorry to cue this, but it won't be the courts. What do you do when about 65% of the government is agreeable to massive fraud? You know it will happen again and again. Trump is going to drop some news that will have people blanking themselves. Major declassifications will come down. 1 or 2 former presidents will be in very hot water unless the elites back down and pressure Biden to concede. Before December is over, Biden will give a very difficult speech addressing fraud and admitting that Trump won. He will cite irregularities, but not fraud. This will coincide with a flurry of prosecutions for lower-level people in the vote fraud operations, of which there were 3 overlapping programs with former Acorn people and DNC activists. This will be a messy Christmas. Cheer up. In 30 days, Trump is sworn in again. There will also be a new Chief Justice. But I'm not one to gossip, so you don't hear it from me. Q is BS. Corsi and Scavino are giving you the hints you need. Take this for what you think it's worth, but we all know that if Trump is going to survive, he's got to move in a massive way. I'm still reporting from just outside the citadel of American freedom. Good day.
I actually like Bill Still, and I'll tell you what I liked about that post. Number one, it said Q is bullshit. I'm sorry, and I know I may offend some people, but I like the fact, and that post actually rings a bit true in a lot of ways. So, what do you guys think? Right? I like Bill. He's great. Bill's great. I love him. You know, he's pretty grounded. He's been doing this for a very long time. Like, he's got Emmys and stuff, you know. Nathaniel sounds like hopium. Can I post a link? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's hopium with an asterisk. So Dan Scavino is on the Q team. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Jerome Corsi was doing a bunch of that Q stuff too. I don't trust Jerome Corsi, by the way. Bill Still, huge Christian Zionist. So, okay, there we go. Caveat emptor. Well, if that's true, then, you know, clearly he would be in Camp Trump, because that's who surrounds Trump, or the Christian Zionists. Real or not, it's in the protocols of Zion, just like Brave New World, 1984, Animal Farm are blueprints. Yes, they are, Steve. What else do we have? No, it's not anonymous. It's an anonymous source. I don't think it's anonymous to group. No, I don't, because anonymous to group, it's just somebody who's anonymous. I don't think it's Team Anonymous. Let's see. Yeah, Bill. I'll hold my breath. Well, so you've got the Bill Still reality, and then you've got the people in Oregon reality, right? So the people in Oregon have brought their own popcorn, popped their own popcorn, and are eating their own popcorn along with their own pop guns. So that's one reality. And then there's another reality, which is theoretically at a federal level, or at a higher level. Let's see. I agree the Hessians came here because their families were fighting after they left Germany. Yes, they were snipers. The Germanic people were tribal. I believe the Hess are chatty. He should have had you Still Turn Me On, Baby. Song by ELP. I know. Great song, right? Still You Turn Me On. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Do, 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 do. You turn me on. You know, I didn't like everything ELP did. Sometimes they went off into that kind of, you know, heavy-handed, you know, Prague meets Rachmaninoff kind of shit, which I was like weird. But some of their songs were really good. I think you could probably get about 5 ELP songs and kind of cover everything, like the greatest hits. Let's see. The protocols older than the Jesuits. Save a spot for us in the hill country. Better get here fast. They're buying land up like crazy. Crazy. Astrologically, 6th of January, massive. We got massive Aquarius coming in. And that's when we get the Saturn square to Uranus starts to hit in January. Big time. Oh, yeah. Mars moves into Taurus. We get the Mars-Uranus conjunctions happening in January. January's going to be lit. January's going to be lit. I'm telling you right now. It is on. Cole says astrological bathrobes. Oh, really? I don't trust Corsi at all. Corsi, you want to talk deep state? Corsi's deep state. Let's see. And they were meant to be help with Hendrix. Oh, really? Are you serious? Are you serious? ELP was going to be help with Hendrix? Wow, that would have been awesome. That would have been crazy. Carl Palmer was a great drummer. Keith Emerson with the synthesizer. See, it's like when you get people like Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson were really great because they were really getting into sort of the early first wave of synthesizers, but then they turned them into like, I don't know. They tried to make the synthesizer into some sort of electronic rock classical thing. A lot of times it just didn't work for me. Sometimes it did. Rick Wakeman has an album about the Knights of the Round Table, I think. And there's a track called Lady of the Lake, which is really good. And some great use of the synthesizer. Brian Eno, I think, had a better idea with synthesizers. He didn't know how to play. So he decided to make weird noises with them. To me, that was a better use of the synthesizer in a lot of ways. Carl Palmer, same birthday as Mark. Carl Palmer, I think he's the only one that's still alive, right? Keith Emerson's gone. Greg Lake had a great voice. Greg Lake did have a tremendous voice. Really good voice. Let's see. This is going to be good. Thank you, Robert. Mahalo. See you, Jeff. Take care. Have a good day. Lake and Emerson are both Scorpios. Yeah, I can see that. Isn't Robert Fripp a Virgo? I think Robert Fripp's a Virgo. If he's not a Virgo, he should be. Because he sure acts like one. What is he? Oh, he's a Taurus. That was my other guess. He's a Taurus. Robert Fripp's a Taurus. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Tony Banks, best of both worlds. Very tasteful. There you go. Yeah, I thought a lot of the early synth stuff was just heavy. I'll tell you who was a really good synthesizer player. Was this guy who played synthesizer for the Tubes. His name was Michael Cotton. That guy was really good. And I was watching the Tubes. That was like one of my high school bands. When I was a junior in high school, we'd go see the Tubes. And let me just tell you, it was life-changing. It was so fucking fun. The Tubes were camp, vaudeville, punk rock, Fee Waybill. Anyway, Michael Cotton played the synthesizer. He was amazing. There he goes. Bang on. Mars enters Uranus, a Taurus rather, on the 6th, wide conjunction, square Saturn. The 6 is lit. Brian Eno is amazing. He's incredible. Beck, Bogert, and Appice had a great sound. Yeah, I mean, Carmen Appice, great drummer. Jeff Beck, I'd say top 10. Top 5 rock guitarists of all time, Jeff Beck. Maybe top 10 guitarists in general. There's some jazz guitarists. Definitely give Jeff Beck a run for his money. It's Cappy Day today. Bah. You know the symbol of Fredericksburg is the goat. It is the goat. All right, let me just show you real quick here, and I'm going to get out of here. I got to go make some breakfast for Madre. I'm pretty convinced now. I'm pretty convinced now that Hunter Biden is the real father of Beau Biden's kid based on the elite family patterns. Pretty convinced of that. And that's just probably a soap opera, but I'm pretty convinced. I just saw that up here. Let me just show you really quickly. Where is it? I had something here. Mark Meadows, supposedly that guy is not really supportive of the president. That's the, all right. So I'm just going to show you here. This stimulus bill. All right. So coronavirus has managed to become like a combination of 9/11 and the bailout for the housing crisis. This is what it's become, right? Because it's a major shutdown event where more rights, theoretical rights, are taken from us, just like they were on 9/11 with the Patriot Act, and they're using it to do the same thing that they did with the bailout, which is give a bunch of people a shit ton of money while giving the plebes crumbs, $600. And they basically stalled this thing for as long as they could, right? So they could pass it just before the Christmas holidays when they get to go away and not be in session. And then everybody thinks, ooh, I got $600 for Christmas. Ooh, isn't this nice? Right? I mean, it's just totally so apparent, you know, and it makes people become completely cynical. And cynical is the first stage towards apathy. Cynicism is the gateway drug to apathy. So let me show you just who did or didn't vote for this stimulus bill. No comment. So these are the senators that voted against the relief. Marsha Blackburn, Rand Paul, Rick Scott, Ron Johnson, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz. Every single one of them voted for this thing. The COVID bill is attached to a $2.3 trillion government spending bill. How about that? Of course it is. Congressman Kelly Armstrong says, we've had a 5,500 page bill. Can you imagine that? 5,500. Remember, next year is, whoops. Stop. Hold on. Let me go back up. Hold on. How did I get there? Next year is a 5-year. Remember that. Let me go back here. I want to go back to this place right here. Okay. For a little over an hour. So they've got to digest 5,500 pages in an hour. Right. Instead of getting COVID relief out to people months ago, we were being forced to vote on this monstrosity without having any meaningful time to go through it. This is insane. Just vote no. Just fucking vote no. He's right. Cat Turd says vote no. I'm with Cat Turd. I'm with Cat Turd. So $5 billion of this bill goes to our good friends in the Middle East. $5 billion goes to Israel. Well, why doesn't that $5 billion just get redistributed to people in this country? Wouldn't that be kind of a better idea? You know who else is getting money on this thing? Check this out. I'll tell you who else is getting money. This is just, to me, this is utterly bizarre. This is just so bizarre. Let me show you. I think this is it. Look at this. This is in the bill. Venezuela gets economic support, $33 million. Venezuela, one of the funds appropriated, the Economic Support Fund, $33 million should be made available for, what is it, democracy programs for Venezuela? You gotta be fucking kidding me. There's all kinds of stuff in that bill. So Venezuela gets $33 million. The company who created the Smartmatic technology, maybe that's their payoff. Maybe that's, oh, hey, thanks for doing that. Here's $33 million. Thank you for your services. So this is in this bill, and these people are just going to sign this bill. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And unfortunately, again, I have to bring it up. This does fall at the feet of Donald Trump because he could have rescinded that order on September 13th. That 6-month order would have ended. He could have said, it's over, it's done. We would have been much further along. We're still being decoupled. FEMA is still in charge, right? So I just have to keep, reiterating that we don't have to be in this place. We didn't have to be in this place. The big problem is that the Federal Reserve and the fiat currency and the money making and the pumping and the dumping and the quantitative easing, it's all over. It's all over. This is their last chance to basically raid the pantry. That's it. They're just taking whatever's left. That's what this is about. Because they know what's coming. And what's coming is severe economic deprivation. And that is on the way. It is on the way. And that's something we're going to have to go through and probably fight through. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And I don't know if Bitcoin is going to save the day. I'd like to think that some wonderful cryptocurrency will, be the coin of the realm. Having gold and silver might be okay, but what happens if they do what essentially was done in the with Nixon said, okay, we're off the gold standard now. You got to sell your gold. If you're holding gold, you're in violation, right? They could do that. And I don't want to be a downer here. I mean, there are things that are worth fighting for and will be fought for. I'm just telling you that the level of deprivation that we might be having to deal with is significant. And this is their last chance to grab what's left. They're picking the final, pieces of fat and meat off the bone. It's probably not fat. It's gristle at this point. There's no leadership. I don't know why he wants a second term when he's already quit his job. Sorry. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Natalie? Are you going to roll the dice with Biden and Harris? And Harris is a proxy for Obama. We know that. So or are you going to roll the dice with, maybe the guy who's kind of a wild card, and maybe might wake up and kick his son-in-law out of the fucking White House. I mean, there's not a lot of options at a high level at this point. That's why I think the game is at a local level. That's why we did what we did last night here. And there are other things we can do. They are not out of the realm of possibility. And you just have to be vigilant. You have to be creative. You have to work and bond with other people. And you have to have more than a belief. You have to have almost like a strange attractor at the end of this experience that's drawing you towards it. And I've looked at the charts, and I really feel like, and I know it sounds like it's a long ways away, but 2029 is really a huge pivot. It's a huge, major pivot. And it's not about Agenda 2030. It's a very different kind of reality that I think we'll be inhabiting, and one that is a lot more fair and just than the one that we're in now. But there's a lot to go through between now and then. We're in a process, and we're in a major decontamination process. We have been infested with a virus on this planet and in this domain ever since we took our first breath or opened our eyes. It is in us, it is around us, and we're in a period of essentially routing the virus out. Why do you think we're dealing with this idea of a virus? They're addressing itself. It is not the coronavirus. It is not COVID. It is the mind virus. It is the spiritual parasite that has invaded our creation for a very long time. It's a spiritual parasite that uses proxy governments in certain groups of people who believe that they're special or elite in order to carry out the will of the parasite. This is what we're dealing with here. And it's plain and simple. It's right in front of you. They're just calling it by a different name. And what they want to do is they want to inoculate you so that you're not aware of its parasitic existence. It has nothing to do with keeping you safe. Nothing. So we're in a process of, purging that, and it takes a while. It takes a while. But hey, look, these are heroic acts. And if there is a universe, and I do believe there is one, all eyes are on us right now and how we do what we do. Okay, I'm out of here. 2029, you mean I won't get to see it? You'll see it. The thing with 2029 is, again, time is a taco. Just fold it together. Okay, so you can bring 2029 into 2021. Steiner's 8 sphere, Ahriman, lowering the density in this time of great decision. What else do we have? I was put in Twitter jail because I wrote that they should bring back tar and feathering for politicians. That's interesting. They paid that close of attention to you. You should feel honored. Let's see, what do we have here? They sell monk fruit in large bag at communist Costco. I like monk fruit. Notice yesterday where all the tins are in singular form. No 4-packs, 6-packs. Yeah, I noticed that with cat food too. That you can't buy the little cases of cat food now. Blockchain tech, not crypto. Blockchain is good. I'm all for blockchain. I think blockchain could be very helpful, especially with elections. We were in one enormous asset stripping cycle. When they start taking the royal family out, you're in deep. Yeah, this is it. The stimulus bill. They're taking the last belongings of the jewels and the gold inside the castle of the Romanovs. Obama, Harris. I see a lot of MSM News watchers in here. Trump only has real power in the states under extreme circumstances. He essentially would have to invade them, which would not go over well. He has had it. So Trump made, but here's the deal, Rebecca. Trump made a declaration. I believe it was on April 13th. If I'm not mistaken, he decoupled the involvement of the federal government to enter into how the states would run their COVID response. That is clear. That is clear. Like the government decoupled at that point. Now that said, there is the 14th Amendment when people's rights, individual rights have been violated. And the 14th Amendment, I've noted, has been invoked many times, most famously with John F. Kennedy invoking the 14th Amendment and sending the state. This is the state troops or the state guard or the National Guard vested in the state of Alabama to basically get in front of the University of Alabama and let at that time, colored students attend the university. And George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, had to submit. It's because their rights were violated under the 14th Amendment. And, have we seen the violation of rights over the summer and over the fall? Absolutely. Plenty of 14th Amendment issues. And it could have been done, but it wasn't because of the executive order, which was cast on April 13th. That's why. Let's see. I expect when Pluto enters Aries, the world is going to be a lot. So that starts the cycle all over again when Pluto enters Aries, doesn't it? We start the cycle. This whole thing really began in a lot of ways with Pluto and Aries, especially here in the so-called West, and especially here in the United States of America, where people like George Westinghouse were born under Pluto and Aries cycle. We have come to the exact completion of that time, and there will be an absolute new beginning. All right. I'm out of here for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody who tuned in last night for our little Citizens Council. Who knows where it'll go? Clearly, it is. It has awoken the matrix here, since Doug the mask enforcer confronted me this morning at the grocery store. And if any, oh, I got one thing. Okay, I got to share this with you. I got a text last night after the meeting. Apparently, because we weren't listening, we just had them on in the background. Apparently, somebody had hacked their Zoom meeting and was playing music and was doing all kinds of like weird stuff to their meeting. And we didn't know that because we had them on mute. We had our own thing. So you see, we are very inventive. We are very inventive, and we are very subversive beings. And don't ever forget that. All right. Bye for now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. Merry Christmas.